Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, 1807 to 1882. For nearly 150 years, Longfellow's Paul Revere's Ride has captivated readers. Its lines are as familiar as a nursery rhyme, and the image of Revere galloping into danger is imprinted on our minds. This poem, along with a number of others, made Henry Wadsworth Longfellow one of America's most popular poets. Longfellow grew up in a literary household in Portland, Maine. His mother, Zilpah Wadsworth, often read aloud to him, while his father, Stephen, supplied him with numerous books. An exceptionally intelligent child, Longfellow entered school at the age of 3, and at 6 received this flattering report. Master Henry Longfellow is one of the best boys we have in school. He spells and reads very well. He can also add and multiply numbers. His conduct is very correct and amiable. At the age of 13, Longfellow became a published poet. At the age of 15, he entered a college in Maine where, like his classmate Nathaniel Hawthorne, he decided to devote his life to writing. While in college, he published poems in national magazines. Longfellow studied a number of foreign languages, including French, Spanish, and Italian. He was such a gifted translator that the college offered him, upon graduation, the first professorship in modern languages. Longfellow taught at the college until 1834, when he transferred to Harvard. He remained there until 1854. Although he worked hard to introduce European literature to an American audience, Longfellow wrote about American subjects. He sought inspiration in American history and lore, as well as in the country's landscape. A poet, argued Longfellow, should take his subjects from nature and not from books, and should try to fathom the recesses of his own mind and bring up rich pearls from the secret depths of thought. With the publication of several books, including The Song of Hiawatha, Longfellow became a household name. Personal tragedy, however, cast a shadow over his achievement. His first wife died following a miscarriage, and his second wife was fatally burned in a fire. Longfellow coped by immersing himself in his work. In his final years, Longfellow was showered with accolades. When he died, he became the first American writer to be honored with the bust in Poets' Corner of London's Westminster Abbey. A couple of side notes about Longfellow. He was a child prodigy, which means that he was really smart at a very young age. He actually ended up speaking 11 languages and could read in 18 languages. And he grew a beard to hide the scars of a fire that killed his first wife. It is also helpful to note that although Longfellow came from a cultured family, was highly educated, and enjoyed nearly early success, he suffered personal tragedies. The poems that you're going to be doing in this lesson today will show how Longfellow applied these values as he wrote about life and loss. Look at the quote here by Longfellow. "We judge ourselves by what we feel capable of doing, while others judge us by what we have already done." Think about how that could apply to your own life. Now it's time to take a look at some of the literary terms that we'll be taking a look at in this lesson. Poets often organize their ideas and images in compact units known as stanzas. These are groups of lines sometimes characterized by a repeated pattern of rhyme and number of lines. Each stanza generally develops a separate idea, image, or an example of figurative language. Recognizing stanzas will help you trace this development. A rhyme scheme is the pattern of end rhyme in a stanza or an entire poem. Rhyme helps to make the words of a poem memorable and is often used to emphasize important words in a poem. Take a look at this excerpt from one of Longfellow's poems. "Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul." Here, the rhyme scheme is AB, AB. That is, the first and third lines, A and A, rhyme, as do the second and fourth lines, B and B. As you read, note how Longfellow makes use of these conventions to organize his thoughts about life and express them in a form that the reader will remember. For those of you who are a little bit more visual, Here is the ABAB rhyme scheme mapped out. It is important to note, though, that you will not be asked to map a poem in the rhyme scheme. Typically, when you look at rhyme scheme, you can map it, but then you also have to analyze it. What are the implications of the rhyme scheme? Why did the author use that type of structure? Those are the types of questions that you will get. You will not be simply asked to just identify the type of rhyme scheme. Longfellow's poems are traditional poetry, meaning that they have a standard rhyme scheme. When looking at traditional poems, it is important to try to use the following strategies. Read each poem silently to interpret the basic meaning. Then read them aloud, listening for end rhyme. Notice which words are emphasized by rhyme. If an author is emphasizing something with rhyme, it most likely means that it is important and you should take note. Let's go ahead and practice what we have just learned. Examine the following stanza and take note of what the rhyme scheme is. The fiery sun, a burning blaze, struck my soul in 2 days, and with its rage of blinding light, turned daytime thoughts to darkest night. Now, what is the rhyme scheme? If you said AABB, you are correct. Blaze and days rhyme, and light and night rhyme. Now, here comes the higher level thinking question. What ideas or concepts are emphasized by the rhyme scheme? If you're stumped, take a look at the rhyming words again. Blaze, days, light, and night. Those are your hints for this question, since those are the words that are being emphasized by the rhyme. In this particular stanza, the author is emphasizing that the blazing sun has confused the speaker. That is more the type of question you would get on an exam. Before we move on with the rest of the lesson, I would like to make one note on traditional poetry. Traditional poetry usually has a clear meter or rhythm, and it often follows a predictable rhyme scheme. Traditional poetry also may include outdated terms, such as or and thou. Most traditional poetry was written prior to the 20th century, but the style continues to be used today. For example, many popular song lyrics use the meters and rhyme schemes found in traditional poetry. Are there any questions? If you have any, please make sure that you let Mrs. Brister know. Thank you for watching.